Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And I'm your host, Dorothy Odell, for this evening. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor of today's show, Owen Sharp, with his book, The Great Flood of Bovenland. Get your copy today where all books are sold, and especially on Amazon. Great book filled with adventure for ages 1 to 7. So if you have a child or grandchild between the ages of 1 to 7, go get your copy today. Promise you will not regret it. All right, I'm super excited to bring to the screen Jon Doolen. Welcome to the show, Jon.
Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So share with our guests a little bit about who you are. We'll go with that first, and then we'll go into how you help your clients.
Okay. Yeah. So I am a veteran, and I joined the Army at 17 and left home and really never went back for visits, but really just went out on my own. After the Army, went to Kansas State University, where I got a degree in social sciences, and then landed in logistics, which has nothing really to do with social sciences. Spent a career in final mile, which is essentially if you buy something big and bulky like a couch or a refrigerator, we were the folks that made sure it landed where it needed to land in good condition. Did that for a number of retailers, then ventured out to try the contract world. Committed to myself that I would do that for about 2 years to really see where that was going to go and what impact I could make. Where I wanted to make the impact was in helping entrepreneurs, contractors who go out and they buy those 26-foot trucks. They put all the risk on themselves, helping them run a better business. And along the way, I ventured into coaching and mentoring, and completely being transparent, I did it for a selfish reason. I was having some difficulty hiring the right people. And so I said, well, how can I get access to talent that hasn't yet been gobbled up by somebody else yet? And so I started mentoring with an organization called Veterati, which we assist veterans, veterans of the armed forces of the United States who are transitioning from active duty into the civilian workforce. And I've been doing that for about 7 years, and to date, I have not yet been able to hire one veteran. I've helped them get jobs elsewhere, but I've never been able to hire one myself. So then it was about 2 years ago, I joined American Corporate Partners, another organization dedicated to helping veterans. This one has a bit of a different approach. They're folks who are already out and have a different set of goals. It's a little more structured, where Veterati is more mentor-based. ACP is coach-based. And, it led to some pretty good success. I've met a lot of really good people. I've done a lot of shows like this. And it's, what I tell people when they ask me, what do you want your legacy to be? And what it is I'd like to build an army of people that I helped achieve their goals, because that to me would be the true golden symbol of I've achieved a good life if I've helped other people do and achieve whatever their goals are. Mm-hmm. So it was about 2.5 years ago that I met some folks, almost 3 years ago. I met some headhunters, and their process of how they helped someone walk through that recruiting process, because it can be stressful. Number one, most people don't want to get a call from a headhunter. It's like a telemarketer, they want to sell you car insurance.
Right.
And I was the same guy. I didn't want that call either. But when I took the call and I heard that really they were just offering me an opportunity to make my life better, to help me achieve my goals. It was, three guys that own the firm, Chris, Doug, and Dave. And I just became kind of connected to these guys. I wouldn't even say we became friends. I think there was an instant spark. We're like, I think we have some similar goals. And over the course of a couple of years, I did some recruiting myself on my own, and I just loved it. I loved the hunt, the search of finding that person, that gem who is happy, successful, exceeding expectations, and wouldn't even think of leaving. And we find those people and we have a conversation with them. We find out that they do have hopes and dreams that are, would take them beyond where they're at. And if you can find a perfect match of you've got this amazing job, you find this amazing candidate, and you can put those two together, that's a great feeling. And so a couple months back, just had the opportunity to land with this company. It's called Movement Search and Delivery. It's located in Clarkston, Michigan, and it's an amazing group of people. There's a little over 60 folks in our firm. All but two of us are active headhunters, so very low overhead. And I've got to tell you, Dorothy, I've never worked, and I don't mean this as a slam to any of my previous coworkers, but I've never worked with a group of people who were more dedicated to each other. There's just, to be in an environment where there's absolutely no toxicity and everyone genuinely wants everyone else to win.
Wow.
It's an amazing, I'm blessed.
You don't get that too often. Let me just say that.
No, I talk to people every day, and I can tell you those environments are rare.
Yeah. And well, first of all, thank you for your service, sir. I say
Thank
that
you.
to every veteran that I come across. And please express to your wife, thank her for her service, because in her being able to stay at home, you were able to do your job effectively. Right. So thank you. Thank her for that too. I just
I will.
I was on a call yesterday. And for those of you that know, I talk about Angels 14 all the time. It is a veteran community where we get together Friday at noon and we have these discussions, and sometimes we just bust each other, and sometimes we have fun, and sometimes, like, if there's a veteran in need, we definitely we surround them and we give them what they need and at that moment. And one of the things we talked about yesterday was, they they say that they're thankful when people say, oh, happy Veterans Day and things like that, but it came out massively yesterday where they would appreciate it if you would thank their spouse and their children, because without the spouse being at home, taking care of everything, that they are able to do their job. So that's a new thing I'm adding. So thank your spouse for me. And that came right from my veteran community. So I'm blessed to be able to put that in now. So thank her for her service. And what a great thing that you do. So not only, and I don't know, when I hear the word headhunter, I would love a call from a headhunter, because that means I've obviously done something right. There's some expertise that I've accomplished that is out there and needed. But I didn't realize there was a negative thing around that. But thank you for that.
I think that there are probably headhunters out there who have deserved that negative aura, but I will tell you honestly, I've met probably outside of the folks I work with, I've worked with 6 headhunters myself over the years, and they really have been role models for the way it should be done. You have to, there's always the care for the client. You've got to meet the client's needs. You've got to find them the candidate that checks all the boxes, because that's why they come to you. That's why they pay you what they pay you, to go out and find that candidate that's going to help them exceed their goals.
Right.
But you've got to care about the candidate. And I think that where some headhunters might get a bad name is they don't follow up, they don't follow through, they don't call them back. And what I love about our firm is people are constantly raving about how just connected we stay to them. And for me, the coaching business I ran on the side, when I was doing recruiting myself, that's one of the staples I put into my core values, were that I don't stop at placement. I stay connected because I consider myself a lifelong coach and mentor. It's important to me that person that I place is happy. It's important to me that the client, of course, is happy, because they won't use me again if they're not. But staying, just building that relationship. So.
Right. And that's important. And you don't get that customer service a lot anymore. It's just like, oh, they do their job and they go about their way, but you take the extra step, right? Make sure everybody's happy, the client's happy, the employee's happy. So that's great. That's an added feather in your cap for sure. So I'd love to hear that. So what three things did you say, or would you say, that you've had to overcome to get to where you're in business today?
You know, I'll speak personally first, and then I can offer some advice to others later. So, you have to know yourself, and it took me a while to learn myself. I lived too many years of my professional life struggling with anxiety and not knowing that I had it, always thinking I'm better than all that. And then when you finally realize, okay, what I'm feeling right now is not unhappiness with what I'm doing, it's my anxiety that maybe I'm not good enough at it, or maybe I need to work harder at it, or maybe that interaction that I just had with somebody didn't go the way it should have. And so being able to get past that, getting past it and saying, you know what, things aren't always going to go well. I'm not sure if you're a fan of The Office, but there's a scene where Dwight and Ryan are walking down the street and they just lost a deal. And, Ryan's like, oh, what went wrong? And Dwight says, not everything's a learning lesson. Sometimes you just don't win. And, that was a hard thing for me. So that is one. The second thing for me was learning that I have to be a better human to other people, because if you are, if you just execute the mission the way your commander or the way your boss tells you to execute it without being a good human to those around you, that's going to come back and get you. And, I learned a long time ago, probably more than 20 years ago, that, and I think it was Sam Walton in one of his books who wrote this, that, you know, being a good person, being a good boss, being a good leader is critically important, because at some point you're going to reach market saturation where everybody's going to know you're a known quantity. So you might get away with being a certain way some of the time. But so that's, I just, yeah, I adopted the theory that, and, I'm not going to go down a faith-based path here, but, whatever your faith is, I personally believe that we will all see each other someday, either here or somewhere else. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to look you in the eye and know that I treated you right. I treated you with integrity, and I was honest and ethical in everything that we did, which sometimes leads to number three. You've got to be willing to tell the truth. And, so there's so many people who just think, oh, I'm just going to be nice and, everything will be okay. The problem with being nice is sometimes people see you as a liar. And if they point blank need feedback, you got to be willing to give it to them. And I'm contacted almost every day by somebody from my past who didn't know how to receive me. And I am who I am. I know who I am. And I know that I come across abrasive sometimes. And when I forget that I come across abrasive, my wife is very quick to remind me. Uh, and, but the honesty in what you say, you can be honest without being a jerk. You can tell someone, hey, what you just did there, that didn't work the way you thought it did, or that outfit doesn't go together the way you think it is. That's why we're all black. It can never go wrong.
I love that. And we do appreciate your honesty. And sometimes, we have to be in this space to receive it, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yes, and that's pretty powerful, Dorothy. And I hadn't actually wrapped my mind around that until a couple of years ago. I worked with a guy who came back to me, and it was months later, and he said, "You said this to me on this day at this time," and I was like, "Okay, I didn't remember." And he goes, "I wasn't ready to hear it," and it took me a while. And I'm at a point now where I've heard you, I understand you, and I know what you meant. But at the time, I was really angry. And it's powerful, because if you as a human can get to that point where you can hear feedback, and you might be able to know, you can know in the moment, I'm not ready to hear that.
yeah.
But just know that the person is not wrong who's saying it, just because you're not ready to hear it. The problem is when you're never ready to hear it.
Yes, 100%. And I'm getting a lot of the downloads here in this conversation, because when specifically with your military background, of course you're going to give it like it is, because that's
Mhm.
what they do. Like, that's how you guys were trained, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference between life and death. And bringing that into your career, I think, is admirable and is what us civilians really need. and the right people will hear it and receive it at the right times, like we've discussed. But having that there, and just don't change who you are just because other people want you to change, is something that it's been a life lesson for me. uh, you know and just because they're not ready to hear it doesn't mean, like you said, that it's ready, that it shouldn't be said. I love that. I love that quote.
Thank
I
you.
Absolutely. Wow. So what three things do you help your clients overcome?
Yeah, the biggest thing is being able to present themselves. And so a lot of the work that I focus on, we do mock interviews where what I do is I send them a Zoom invite and I tell them we're in character. So you're not going to ask me any questions um, about how should you answer it. I am the interviewer and we record it. And my process is I run them through a sample of questions, and like it's a real interview because I spent 30 years doing them.
Hmm.
And I provide them with a copy of it. I give them a couple days to review it, and they're required to come back with how well did they think they do. And we start off with their feedback first. And what that does is it helps me to level set so that I know, are they seeing themselves the way they're presenting. And the first thing, you always get the list of, oh my God, my hair, I'm overweight, I didn't dress right, all the superficial BS. And I let them get that out of their way. Then I tell them, none of that matters. If your content comes through, that's what matters. And so that's what we focus a lot on is how can they sell themselves? How can they send their message? What a lot of folks do, and I've probably done it here at least 10 times already, is we get stuck down that rabbit trail where we're trying to make our point. And, because I have trained, I will make the point over and over again because I understand that as adults, we only take away about 10% of what someone says to us. So I repeat myself multiple times so the main points come through. Well, we do that when we communicate it as well. Whatever it is that's important to us, we're going to say it multiple times. So I work with them on that so they can see it and they can catch it. And the best thing that I can do for somebody through this exercise is if they can see the habits, learn how to catch the habits, when they get to the actual interview, they can do a better job of presenting themselves and allowing the interviewer to speak. Because from an ego-based perspective, we all know, we've all been on interviews, the more the interviewer talks, generally the better, because their ego is the one that matters.
Right. Ooh, I love that. Absolutely love that. Their ego, put the shoe on the other foot and let them talk
Mhm.
to you. So, I in an interview that I had with the company that I currently work for, it was like 7, 8 years ago, and I firmly believe that yes, you're interviewing me, but I'm interviewing you too to see if some
Mhm.
place that I want to work. And so one of the questions I asked the CFO was, what is your vision for the company? And why did you guys start this particular greenhouse operation? And so I don't think he'd ever been asked that question before. I don't think anybody has you know even took the time to do that. And I remember it like it was yesterday, and his eyes light up and just giving me the vision of the 10-year goals for the company. And I mean, we've surpassed that um in the 7 years that I've been working there. But
But
it was
that's
just
powerful, Dorothy, because that it not only is it a powerful question that they know that you're paying attention to the industry, they know you've done some research, but from an interviewer's perspective, it's powerful when you ask a question because how they receive the question can help you gauge how well you're doing in the interview.
yeah.
And I've been on panel interviews before where the decision maker is done, they don't like the candidate, they're going to move on, and when the candidate asks one of those powerful, relevant questions, the interviewer just shuts down and doesn't answer the question, punts really. And so, I think that, we tell people go into the interview with questions, and it's not just to show the company that you know who they are and that you actually want to work there, but it does also help you to gauge whether you're building a bond with them. I think it's a great question.
Thanks. Yeah. Like I still remember it. I still remember his facial features and how he lit up and things like that. And that's what, got me through the hard times working there.
Yeah.
Because, seeing that vision, because not everywhere you work is roses every day. And we work in a high stress industry trying to get produce out, making sure it's delivered to people's doorsteps fresh. And, so anyways, that's just a whole other side trip. Um,
So I owe
sorry.
you two more. You asked me for three. I gave you one, and then I went down a rabbit trail. So here's the other two. Your social profile, your social brand makes a difference. And so I'll coach folks on this to say, it's your Instagram page, it's your Facebook page, it's your LinkedIn page, but that's also how you communicate your brand to the world. So make sure what you put out there, you're proud of, because I guarantee you, every employer is going to look at that. They're going to research you. They're going to see what you're posting. And if you're pro this or pro that, and they're not, and they don't want to be around it, they can just say you're not a good fit. And that tends to make people angry, and they start thinking, well, I am who I am. You're right, you are. And as long as you can go out there and make money being who you are, that's fine. But if you're going to go to somebody else and ask them to pay you, this is where we get to point number three is, I have folks who, they like to have bright pink hair. They like to have piercings and tattoos everywhere. And my advice to them is, that's great. Find the employer that wants that as their brand. But if you walk into a bank and that brand wants cookie cutter, everybody has the same haircut, everybody wears the same suit, and that's where you want to make your money, that's where you have to cater your brand to whoever's paying you. And, Dorothy, you and I face this. It's no different than our audience. I create what I create because it's important to me. And the people who follow my message, that's my audience. The moment that I choose that I want a different audience, I'm going to have to cater my message to that audience. If I'm looking to get something from that audience, whether it's dollars, likes, follows, whatever. So, we face this every day we've decided to go out there on this platform and share our opinions, share our views, and what follows. It's the reverse when you're looking for somebody else to pay you. You have to cater. If you want their money, you gotta do it.
I just wrote this point down. So basically, we're marketing our brand to the employer, right? So, and I can see that, like if you're tattooed and things like that, like you said, the banker, they're not going to want those tattoos showing through. So, but if you're going to go for a job at a tattoo parlor, then just share your ink, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's just a job interview is marketing yourself to them, like pitching your sales pitch to the employer or the HR person or who's ever in the interview is what I got away from that.
There's a couple questions that I like to ask when I'm screening candidates. One of those questions is, how have you changed the culture? And the most hurtful answer that I get is, well, I haven't. And, I don't think people understand. You change the culture by entering the room. You may not realize it, but you do. And, whether people start acting like you or you're so darn abrasive that people avoid you and stay away from you, you've changed the culture. And I think that when we go into interviews, a lot of candidates, all they worry about is, can I answer the questions correctly? And I think we would see more success in organizations, and candidates would see more success in their careers if they thought about that going in to say, is this the right culture for me? Am I going to meld well with this culture? And what am I going to add to this culture? Will I make it better or will I make it worse?
Mm-hmm. What is your take? I love that. And what is your take on the asking, like the money question? Like as a headhunter, what is your take on that question?
Well, so I'll give you my personal take on that is, I think that a job should pay what a job is worth. And, I see every day, this is the most awkward question I ask, and I ask it easily 50 times a day. Where are you at from a compensation perspective? Let's talk about your base pay, your bonuses, your additional benefits that have value to you. I guess, it's there are different organizations who see it from different perspectives. So there's no blanket statement across the board. You have organizations out there that wholeheartedly say, yeah, we don't care how much money they make. This is how much the job's going to pay. And sometimes that's 4 times what the person was making before. And sometimes it's half of what they're making.
Right.
Where I don't necessarily draw the line is if someone can sell me on a story. What I don't want to do is I don't want to take someone who's making $100,000 and put them into a $50,000 role because they say that's their dream job. They're so excited. What I have to know is the moment I know they're making significantly more, um, I've got to know that they're financially stable and that they can absorb that kind of income loss. Because if they can't, they're going to be looking for a new job or they're going to be looking for additional jobs. And my role is to put the best possible candidate with my client who's going to go in and give them their all. And if that candidate goes in and they're not making enough money, they're going to be distracted. They're not going to give it their all. And I talk to a lot of folks every day who are out of work and desperate and like, I'll take anything. And that's not a good answer because um, you know, being desperate and being willing to take anything is not going to be the answer to your long-term problem. You're really you're prolonging that pain and that burden. You've got to find, ultimately, wouldn't it just be great if everybody led their lives from a financial perspective where what came in the paycheck every week didn't matter because they already were living within their means? That'd be amazing. I don't
It
know
would
how
be.
it works in Canada, but that is not how it works in America.
No, as a matter of fact, we have multiple people working multiple jobs and
Mhm.
still not making ends meet, and it's become a crisis in itself over here. We have people living in their cars at Walmart parking lot, um, especially during when the pandemic first hit and things like that. So we're still, in my opinion, in recovery mode. Homelessness has shot up. So anyways, that's a whole other rabbit trail we could go down.
Yeah.
But yeah, the base of the matter is it's it now, and my grandmother's like, because she's from old school, she's 90 years old. She firmly believes that the woman should be at home. The men take care of the household financially, and the woman takes care of the household internally. And I'm trying to get in through her head that it takes two full-time incomes and then some sometimes in order to make ends meet. Um, and
I
it's
have
just
a bit of a
it's
different opinion on that, but I don't disagree with your opinion. But as a father of daughters, I sure as hell hope my daughters have greater ambitions in life and want to go out there and make their own mark. My wife and I from day one have led from that perspective of, my wife grew up in that environment where the wife stayed home, took care of the kids, the house. I believe it's my job to take care of the kids in the house too. And um, what I want to do is create an environment where my wife can go out and do whatever it is she wants to do that makes her happy. And I don't want her to worry about does she have to do laundry or dishes or carpool or whatever. And I feel like my wife and I, since we had kids later in life, so we're still doing the carpools and all that. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it. It's bonding moments with my kids, but we still balance. We balance it off where my wife is a voice actor for Audible, and she's in her sound booth for as many hours a week or more than I am doing my job. So I think I agree with everything you said. The old school definitely thinks that. I think that there are some folks today who still believe that. I think there are, and in more uh, progressive cultures, there's men that are choosing. My wife's going to go out and make the money. I'm going to stay home and take care of the kids. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's amazing. I would love to be a stay-at-home dad, but I can tell you, my wife has traveled a few times. It's stressful as hell. I would. Oh, sorry, you might have to bleep that out.
no, that's
Um,
okay.
uh, you know, I don't know how my wife pulls it off. She's absolutely amazing. But I think that it should be just people should be able to live out their dreams, whatever their dreams are.
Absolutely. I firmly believe that. Thank you for saying that, John. And yeah, we've in my house, like my immediate household, my dad was just like, go do what you want to do, but make sure it's within an organization, within a structured organization where you get paid, you work for them for 20, 30 years, get your pension, and then, retire happily with the 2.5 children. And yeah, that was his take. And then I have my grandmother, well, you should just stay at home and take care of your kids. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, Jesus. You know?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
I'm like, I tell you what, I never had kids of my own. And I'm out to create the largest media company in the world, and in my spare bedroom at the moment. And that's what life has led me while working a full time job for somebody else. And so, that's what my reality is at the moment. But that's changing over time, and it is what it is. And I think everybody should pursue their dream, like you said. So, and that's for how Jon helps you. Jon helps you pursue that dream job of, going out there, making sure that it's a win-win and for everybody, making sure that compensation matches the financial need. And so, where's the best place that people can reach you, Jon?
LinkedIn is my bread and butter. I'm in LinkedIn all day long, conducting searches, following up on companies. And what I want to point out is, I'm grateful for any candidate that reaches out to me, because any candidate can be a someday client. So if you're out there looking, please definitely reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn. My tagline everywhere on every social media platform is Get Doolen, GETDOOLEN. Oh, there you go, right there. That was pretty slick. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Thank you.
I have a website, and the website is really for my coaching, mentoring, and training. I do all of my headhunting through movementsearch.com. And it's a company here in my hometown, a mile from my house. But what I really want to make sure I point out is, if you're an organization and you're tired of the same old recycled candidates that people keep in their filing cabinet, you should reach out to us. I'm super proud of the folks I work with. If people could see behind the curtain, and the process that we go through to validate that we're sending the best possible candidate, I can't tell you how many times a day I present somebody and say, "Hey, what do you think about this candidate?" And you just poke holes in, and really just to defend it, so that you can make sure that our clients are getting what they're paying for. They're getting the very best possible candidate who's been vetted. So if you're an organization, you're looking for the right people to represent your needs, and you're looking for the right talent, please reach out to us at movementsearch.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jon, for coming in today and sharing the heart and soul of what you do. Absolutely love it. And I love the fact that you help other veterans get placed as well. That's your main your main dominant area. And I've also sent Jon a couple people too. So within
Yes.
my veteran space. So, I love it that I have this connection so that I can, bring people to you. So, but thank you for all that you do. And thank you for being here today.
I'm just grateful you invited me.
Absolutely. All right, guys, don't forget, be unstoppable on all that you do, and come join us same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.